Let's see if we are on. Looks like we're on Facebook. Now, looks like we're on YouTube. So that's good. All right. Now, let's see how we're looking here for browser. Okay. I'll type in the first comment for the night. All right. Anybody out there? Anybody listening? Can you see me? Can you hear me? All right, all right, all right. Well, we're going to start with the it's 8:01. Time to start this show. Ava, are you on there? Can you see and hear me okay? Tom's on. I see an eye. I see an eye here. No, I see an eye on Facebook. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start the show. Okay, well, hey everybody, this is Bryan Hogue, and this is the Chiller Night Live pre-show. I get on here every week, and I from 8 until 9, or at least a few minutes before 9 o'clock, and I talk about the scheduling coming up for the Chiller Night programming from 9 o'clock until 9 p.m. Eastern Time until 3:30 in the morning, approximately, every Saturday night on Stream TV. So that's what we're going to do here tonight, as I've been doing every night since April. And then Michael says, yes, good audio, good video. All right, cool. John Florentino says, hello. Hey, John, thanks for joining us tonight. Ava says, looks and sounds good. Awesome. Muhammad says, yes. Okay, good. And Corpus said, aloha, humans. Aloha. And Brad said, it's the Chiller Night pre-show with Bryan Hogue, starring Bryan Hogue. Now here's Bryan. Gotta have that. Corpus said, mixes eyeball martini. Definitely. Don't tell Jack I have that. He'll be mad. Craig says hi. Hi, Craig. And Cassandra says hello. So hey everybody, we're starting right out the gate with some good responses, and that's real good on YouTube and on Facebook, so that's cool. What I do is if you're new to this, I actually use this multi-stream service, and I'm live. I'm streaming live on Facebook, on the Chiller Night Theater Facebook page, as well as the Chiller Night Theater YouTube channel. So, and John says, here's Johnny. I got the visual of Jack Nicholson coming through the door there and The Shining. So, wow, I tell you, what a week we've had. Last Friday was, I'm still trying to get over this cough. I'm over the cold. I just have the cough, the remnants of this cough left over. So, we'll get through it. Brad says, hello, everybody. But Corpus said, hey, Cassandra. David said, the champagne is officially popped. All right. I had no doubt. That sounds good. I usually wait until 9 o'clock to start into partaking of my own. Ronnie says, good evening. Wish everyone a fantastic weekend. Oh, thank you. And then Bob Book says, I can hear you. All right. You can hear me and I can see you. I can at least see your comments. I should put it that way. So thanks for joining us. Thank you, everybody. This is really cool. Last Friday night, we had the very, not the first, but the second Jack Shadow's Friday Night Frights, but the very first time we were actually sponsored, we had, bam, we had Vicelli Pizza and Butler, and I'm once again going to give them, I'm going to fly this around like the UFO like Ava likes, so, but we had Vicelli Pizza from Butler once again. Thank you to them, because tonight we're going to actually see that episode as it's edited and cleaned up and put together and on stream TV tonight as a TV episode. And when you see it on YouTube and Facebook Live, you're seeing obviously the raw, unedited version of the show. So, you know, if you hopefully you'll stick around and kind of watch it tonight and see how it looks when it becomes a TV episode. So it's kind of neat. Corpus said, "Thank you, David. Pass it around as far as the champagne." And Linda Dawn said, "No kidding, I'm in PJs, haha." That sounds nice and cozy. And then Ava said, "Love it." Corpus said, "Me too, a Grinch onesie." That's funny. All right, well, I'm glad everybody's settled in and feeling all cozy and having their beverages as they please, and joining us here on the Chiller Night Live pre-show. As I was saying, the last week's episode was great. The Crawling Eye. We watched The Crawling Eye, otherwise known as the Trollenberg Terror. There's a slight differences in the versions, the US as opposed to the UK version, but we're calling it The Crawling Eye, and that's what we're going to go with. But it was a good movie. It was a fun episode to do. We had a lot of interaction, a lot of feedback. I really appreciate that. Jack Shadow had a good time. It was a lot of fun, and I really appreciate the shares. We have as of this morning, we had over 1,660 views of the show. Now that's progress online. My online numbers are boosting. So I know it had a lot to do with the share. You know, we had the share contest, and the winner was Diana, but she ended up getting this this really groovy picture there of Jack Shadow, an autographed, which he autographs on the program. So Cassandra has a bunch of little emojis of champagne glasses clicking, so toasting. So I just want to thank everybody who viewed the show, who watched the show, who shared the show, because those are the biggest numbers that I've had as far as online views within that short amount of time. Before the night had ended, before that show had ended that night, last Friday night, we actually had over about 650 views, which is much more than than January's. Nosferatu, I think maybe a couple weeks later, we only had like 450 views total. That's between Facebook and YouTube. So, and I think that's only because awareness, lack of awareness, you know. And the share contest was great because the awareness is getting out there, and I'm getting so much positive feedback from that, from new viewers, you know, who are writing to me and tell me that they really love the show. They really thought that the live show was a really neat idea, and that that I have new viewers, and I can count on them being new viewers. I was reading Cassandra's Groovy at the same time as saying that, and Brad says, "You know what would be a great sponsor besides Vicelli Pizza for Friday Night Frights by publicity? Sheets Convenience Store." That's a possibility. Now that's a I have had them before. It's a little trickier to get. You know, they have to get approved through corporate, but I mean, it can be done. I've had them before for Dark Horse Championship Wrestling when I used to do the wrestling show. So that is a possibility. Tom says 3 or 4 of those views were mine. All right. Well, I appreciate all 3 or 4 of them, Tom. I really do. And that's not counting the you know, the second half of the show, or not the second half, the last 5 minutes. Remember, hey, we had to do the break, and I had to come back on. I'm not even counting those because I'm just assuming those are all the same viewers hopping back on. So, Brad says, Sheets convenience store. Yeah. Corpus said Sheets is everywhere around here. That would be sweet. Yeah, I could. I mean, it's definitely worth looking into because I know I did it for Dark Horse Championship Wrestling. It's a little a little trickier. It's not. I mean, I definitely can check on them. It'd be a very good sponsor to have also. Corpus said is Sheets a regional thing. Well, I have to go through like a regional manager, you know, that may have, I don't know, they might have half a dozen stores, you know, and you have to go through that manager to be able to put like posters up, event posters, for example. Now, I'm not putting any event posters, but, you know, I'm not really sure how that would work. I have to. It's been like 3 years since I've done, well, going on 4 years now since I've done a wrestling show. We also had them, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know, I don't remember if we had them for the haunted house or not. I don't know, but I will check it out. And then Brad says they're pretty big. Brad says national thing, actually, right, but yeah, you have to go through a regional representative. And then Corpus says, oh, are they all over the place? Oh yeah, they're. I'm not sure what areas they do cover, but I know when I've done it in the past, I have to go through like a what would you call them? A regional manager, maybe, that's like overseeing like you know, a certain amount of stores. So, but very good suggestion there, Brad. I will have to look in on that. Which means I have to move the mic cover. I have this thing to keep the glare down. It's a black skull that's actually like over my microphone. And so, okay, well, that's a neat idea. I appreciate all the ideas because I really feel like this is a machine that's in motion here, and I can't tell you how much I really appreciate that, because honestly, that's the most. I was telling Ava today, those are the highest numbers that I've seen in such a short amount of time. I've never seen that before, and so I know that the sharing is what did it. Excuse me. So Corpus says, Brian, you're sounding better, not sick anymore. No, I'm over the cold. I'm over the I've been over the flu. Now I'm over the cold. Now I've just got the remnants of the cough. The cough is still lingering, but as far as any you know, sickness, I'm done with that. So Tom says you just need to cut to the chase and do a paranormal cheesy horror wrestling show, Brian. Less work to do. Huh. You know, you bring up something. There actually is a wrestling. There are several wrestling horror movies, believe it or not. I know that there used to be a lot of Mexican movies that featured. Was it Mil Mascaras, or I know the Blue Devil. They had some wrestling. You know, they were like superheroes, you know, in Mexico. You know, these guys are like superheroes almost, you know, in superhero status. So they had actually go solve their crimes and, you know, fight monsters, fight like the Aztec mummy and all this. It is so they are out there. And I actually played a movie called Doctor of Doom. Not Doctor Doom from Marvel Comics, but this thing was called Doctor of Doom. And I had Bill Eadie, the Masked Superstar, and later on he was Axe from the Tag Team Demolition. He was on that episode. And in fact, that's the very first episode that Samantha was on as Elle. And that was way back in 2010, I think. So, Corpus said, I dig it. Nick said, need a print of Grampy's old cough medicine. Need a pint. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, I do. Oh, that sounds pretty good. Brad says David Hasselhoff must die. Horror wrestling movie. Really? I've never heard of that, but now I'm intrigued. I must know more. David Hasselhoff must die. Bob says the movie The Wrestler was awesome. Oh yeah. Oh, I love that with Mickey O'Rourke. Is that his name? I know. I have that movie. I love that movie. And Muhammad said Supernatural featured wrestling episode. Oh, okay. Supernatural featured wrestling episode. Tom said, yeah, but the ones here would be ghost horror wrestlers. That'll be the twist. Oh. Okay. You know, there was another one. Oh. There was another one I was going to do. Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies. Now, I had contacted the guy who made that movie, you know, with Roddy Piper and just all kinds of, you know, Kurt Angle, and they had all these wrestlers in it. And they were fighting zombies. So I was actually going to play that once for back then it was called Sleepy Hollow Theater, but and I was making arrangements with the local theater to actually play it, because what we were going to do, we were going to tape episodes of Dark Horse Championship Wrestling and then have everybody go to the theater and watch Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies. Didn't work out, not on my end, on the the makers of the movies end. They just couldn't get organized. So Zebra X says, hey Brian, hey, thanks for joining us. Corpus said, not on a horror tip, but a superhero one. Have you guys seen Glass? No, I have not seen it. I saw Unbreakable, but is that that's the sequel to that one, isn't it? With Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson. That one looks pretty good. I really enjoyed Unbreakable. I think I'm remembering the title of the movie. David says, tomorrow, February 10th, is Lon Chaney Jr.'s 113th birthday. Wow, I did not know that. So, well, that's cool. Ah. Lon Chaney. What year did he die? Died in the 60s, didn't he? Late 60s, early 70s, maybe? Some reason I have it in my head he died around the same time as Boris Karloff, who last February 2nd, he passed away. February 2nd, 1969. So, little trivia that we brought up last week. And then ZebraX says, thumbs up, people. All right, on YouTube. All right, give me a thumbs up. Give me that like. And then Brad says, I love that movie, The Wrestler. That was great. That was great. And then Brad said they should have a sequel to the Wrestler, or to David Hasselhoff Must Die. Yeah, well, if they had one to The Wrestler, they could have one to The Wrestler. You never know. Kind of left it open at the end. You kind of had to, you know, use your imagination to figure out what was happening next. And then Ronnie said, Santo, that's it, Santo. Samson versus Vampire Woman. We played that one, yes. We did play that one. That was it. I was trying to think of his name, Santo, yeah. But wasn't he, there was a group of three of them that have been on some movies, like Mil Mascaris, and then the Blue Devil, and Santo. But Santo, I think, was the biggest name as far as in the movies, I think. That brought back a lot of memories, because I had forgotten that we did that. Tom said, Roddy Piper, I'm all out of chewing gum. Yeah, I loved him in that movie, They Live, the John Carpenter movie. Corpus said, yep, the newest one. Okay, yeah, I would really like to see that, the Glass. Corpus said, I really enjoyed it. Oh, you saw it. Okay, Split was the second installment. Oh, I didn't know that. They actually had a second movie. I did not know that. I don't know how I missed that. All right. And that's right, ZebraX. ZebraX. All right, he's telling us how to pronounce that. All right, ZebraX. Oh, David said Lon died in 1973. Okay, so he went He went, he went before Boris. And then Nick said, gotta see Split before Glass. Well, I didn't even know about Split. Yeah, I'm going to have to see that. And Bob says, the Wrestler sequel, have his daughter step into the squared circle. Bob says, Ronda Rousey could play the villain. Rousey or Rousey, I don't know how you say that. Yeah, yeah, she could. Is she a heel or a face on is she still in WWE? I don't even know what's going on. I never watched the current stuff, you know. I'm so old school when it comes to wrestling. I don't know what the latest and greatest is in WWE, but let me real quick, let me post a schedule for tonight. This is at 9 p.m. at 9 p.m. Chiller Night Theater, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Stream TV. That's streammedia.tv. Jack Shadow features The Crawling Eye. That was what we just saw last week, only it's cleaned up and edited up, and is the actual TV episode version. 11 p.m. Chiller Chat. My guest is Kiss of Death Productions, and that's actually David and Diana Silvio, who's here with us in the chat stream. And then 11:30, Chiller Night Theater. The movie is last week's feature movie, The Ghoul, starring Boris Karloff. 1:30 a.m., Chiller Chat. The guest is B&H Paranormal. And that was a live Chiller Chat that we did, that we streamed live, about 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago. And then, of course, at 2 a.m., we repeat our feature movie for the night, The Crawling Eye. So, there we go. There's our schedule for tonight. And then Brad says, I'm telling you, you should air Kiss of Death production movies. Well, maybe we'll have to do that. Maybe we'll have to do that. David said, the champagne is good, cold and bubbly. All right. Well, hopefully you have a couple bottles on hand. Because these are... I was about to say these are kind of a long show. You know, it's approximately an hour long. And I look down there and see the time, and we're almost halfway through. I just cannot believe that these things go so quick. Okay, I'll take the logo down. All right, anything else that we have here? Friday. The next Friday Night Frights will be Friday, March 1st. That will be our, of course, the first Friday in March. The movie that I'm playing is a little up in the air right now because I had a special request from a sponsor. Vicelli's Pizza is returning as a sponsor once again. They've already committed to that, and there's another individual who wants to sponsor the show, and he's making a special request, and he's not only sponsoring that, he's sponsoring TV for Stream TV for my chiller shows every Saturday night for the entire month. So he asked if I could play a certain movie. So I may be doing that, but we are having some ones that are a given coming up. A Bucket of Blood will be coming up very soon. Plan 9 from Outer Space, just for the I got to do Plan 9 from Outer Space. and then Tom wanted me to check on Fiend Without a Face, and we were talking about that one. I looked into it. I mean, from what I'm gathering, I've got a recent list of public domain movies. It's appearing to be public domain. It's looking good. So I think that we'll be able to do that one. I got a few other things I want to check, but it looks like that one's a good one. The pictures that you sent look really cool. It just looks like a really good Saturday night type of movie that we would play on this type of show. And then Tom said it's not a repeat, it's an encore presentation. Oh, I got to know the verbiage. It's all in the presentation, you know. And then Nick said, time flies when you're having fun. Yes, it does. That's for sure. Brad says, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, 1923. It's a good request. Well, yes. Any of those, the classic, you know, the silent movies are. the only reason I'm doing the ones with sound right now, anyways, for the next few, excuse me, is because I just don't think that the silent ones would be a good 9 o'clock feature movie for the night on Saturdays. Doesn't mean I won't do it. Just I'd like to fit in a more movies with sound, for as we're getting more. This is the first time we've done this. These are all new. This whole idea of doing it live is new. So, and I think it's going really good. But I had this idea years ago, but at that time I had no way of really doing it like I'm able to now. So now that I'm able to, after I did Nosferatu is kind of a test for me. It's like, can I really pull this off? I don't know. I really didn't know. And I just did it. And it worked. And then we did the next one, and and we'll just keep continuing, and we'll see how it goes. That's how we're going to do it. Tom said, I heard that Bocelli's wanted you to show the bride of the pizza that saved the world. Yeah. Yes. But, maybe next time. Brad said, at least it's public domain. Yeah, The Hunchback. Yeah, that's and that stars Lon Chaney Sr. as Quasimodo. So those would be very good ones to do. And then David said The Hunchback of Soho, 1966. The Hunchback of Soho, 1966. I've never heard of that. That's kind of interesting, peculiar. I've never heard of that. I wonder if that's public domain. And then Corpus said, silent is a harder sell for the youngins. Exactly. Now, I could do the maybe we could do watch parties or something with the silence, because I have a feeling through most of you on here that you would enjoy that, and so would I. I love silent movies. I got quite a collection of them. But I know it's not for everyone, and when you're, maybe watching the show, and you've got younger and a younger audience, get your kids watching the movie with you. A lot of the kids probably roll their eyes at what these movies. They don't get probably our love for them. A lot of these are some of the ones that we grew up watching, and so a lot of it is nostalgia with us. And so you give them time, a couple decades down the road, they'll be appreciating this more. Corpus said watch parties would be great for that. I think so. And then David said silent movies are fun. They are, and they're probably, for something like this, they're probably even more fun to do. But then when I turn it around and do it like a 9 p.m. Chiller Night Theater episode, the feature. So, like Corpus said, it's kind of a little harder sell for the youngins. But that's not to say I won't do them, because I can do them and still, like what we did last time with Nosferatu. I did it as the 11:30 movie that night, because I figured at 9 p.m. the majority of the audience would probably want to watch a movie with sound, and then we threw the Nosferatu episode on at 11:30 that night. And then Brad says at least you can either play original or remake music on silent movies. Yeah, a lot of them have a soundtrack accompanying them. And then Nick said, someone say party horror movie. Yeah, I take it you're in. That would be fun. You almost get a feel like that last one, The Crawling Eye. I got to tell you, I'm sitting here in between, during the segments, and I'm trying to, join in at least on the YouTube ones, the comments. I'm seeing all the Facebook ones. I told you guys, I think if you heard me a couple weeks ago, I can't chat on Facebook on this. Like if I'm chatting something right now, whoops, look at this. See, it only goes to YouTube. Only the YouTube viewers can see that I just wrote hello. But and that's not just on my end. That's actually the services that I use. They don't have that. And again, I didn't know that when I first purchased the services. But they said that they're working on it. They don't have that available yet. But anyways, my point was, I'm watching this and I'm watching the comments, and it felt like we were all in a room together. It just felt like a lot of fun, and so I was having fun. I know you guys were having fun, and it was just a neat thing to do. The most views that I've ever had within 1 week, and so what I think it was more than double the last. It was almost three. It was over 3 times what we did with Nosferatu, and that was just in 1 month, and that was from that share. So we'll probably do that again, another share contest. However, you guys brought up a good point last week, to announce the winner. Maybe I'll even draw the winner's name right here. You know, I'll get Jack Shadow's hat or something, you know, or one of Aura's little witch cauldrons. You know, we'll actually do the drawing right here on the next night on the pre-show. Maybe we'll do that because you guys said that would be a neat idea. I think it would be a really neat idea because I don't like to I didn't know this, but I didn't know that you couldn't see who shared while I was streaming live. But now that I know that, because I don't like to take that break. I didn't want to take that break last time, but I had no choice. I had to do it. Because I said I would, and I wanted the winner. I wanted to sign that photo while we were on the air. I thought that'd be neat. Whoever received that would have that in their DVD copy that I gave them. So, okay. Tom says, old movies aren't nostalgic for me. Ain't that old yet. Well, they are to me, and I ain't that old yet either. But still, even like maybe 20 years back. Although a lot of them that I remember are more like, I remember honestly, like I was just thinking about this the other day. Iga, there's a good example. I remember. Now I've had to been less than 5 years old because I was living in Oil City before I moved to Cranberry. I started kindergarten in 1973, so I know it was before then. Like, must have been 72 at least. But I remember watching this. I remember the caveman. I remember the swimming pool. I remember like images of that movie. I didn't remember the movie. I remembered images of that movie. And then when I saw Iga later on, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember that movie. Or Attack of the Eye Creatures I was talking about a couple weeks ago. Just images, you know, in my head. And the feeling I had back then, like, oh, you know, that caveman's, you know, that's bad news. You know, I don't think I was questioning whether a caveman should be there. As far as the time era thing, when you're 4 years old, you know, just thinking, you know, this caveman's gonna beat people up. That's, you know, that's scary. Let's see. Brad says, like on YouTube, for instance, LOL, which helps a lot. I'm down. And Nick says, I'm down like a dead man in a coffin. And then Cassandra said, I have a list of horror movie groups that have watch parties. Oh, okay, that's cool. Corpus said yes. And then Nick said, sounds like fun. Beverly said, good evening, I'll be watching. Okay, great. Good to have you here joining us, Beverly. And then Corpus said, that's how I found out about Chiller, is through one of those. Oh, okay, cool. Tom says, sorry, meant silent movies aren't nostalgic to me. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right, though. Yeah, come to think of it, like I would only see scenes of them. I've never actually watched them until in the 90s. you know, to where I started collecting the VHSs, you know, of you know, Nosferatu and Phantom of the Opera, Metropolis, and and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah, I see what you mean there. Yeah, because I don't remember them ever playing any silent movies on Chiller Theater when I was growing up. So yeah, that does make sense. But now I'm checking to make sure I didn't miss anything. But we could do a watch party. I don't think I could probably, I don't know how those, I've never had one of those. Could I do it from the, I would imagine I could do it from the Chiller Night Theater Facebook page. So I'm sure I can. I don't think there's any limitations to that. So maybe we'll do that. And maybe we will play the Hunchback of Notre Dame. I actually saw that cathedral. I was actually there back in the 90s when I was overseas. So, okay, let me make sure I'm not missing anything. That's a neat idea, though. I like the watch party thing, too. And I'm really enjoying the Friday Night Frights. What a production that turned out to be. You know, you just get an idea like, oh, well, I'll just do it live. And then to actually make that happen, there's a, you know, the very first time, you know, you got that Murphy's Law following you around, just hovering over the room. Like this is just us all just, you know, chatting and talking and stuff. But to actually put on a production where I've got sponsorship and, you know, that was a little, that was a little, yeah, I was a little nervous, you know, making sure that everything was gonna go without any problems. So Nosferatu was the test movie, and it turned out fantastic. I think it actually exceeded my my wants, my expectations for that night. And so after we did Nosferatu, I knew I could do the next one, which of course turned out to be The Crawling Eye, which is going to be tonight's feature movie in about 20 minutes, 22 minutes. And then Brad says, what parties are starting to pop up everywhere on Facebook? Oh, the watch parties. I've seen them. The first time I saw one was of the Lone Ranger. Everyone's doing these Lone Ranger movies. It was from a Lone Ranger page, and I'm like, what the heck is this thing? I don't know what they're even talking about. You know, so and so is hosting a watch party. I'm like, what is that? I don't even know what that is. And that was a couple months ago. And then I'm starting to see them more and more. I don't know how you do them, but I know that when you click on a comment, that there's an option there to do a watch party. I don't know how you do it yet, but I'll find out. I mean, if you guys want to do one, let's, you know, I think that'd be fun. And then I don't know that I can hook it into YouTube though through OBS Studio. I don't know. I'll have to look into it, but it sounds like a neat idea. And then the Corpus said, oh, Brad said he went to say watch parties are starting to pop up. Okay, thought you were asking a question. Okay, nope, you're right. And then Tom said they played silent movies at some pizza parlors back in the day. Shakey's Pizza, were they one? Showtime Pizza been too long? Well, that's a neat idea though, because if you don't want to sit there and have the movie, you know, the sound of the movie distracting your conversation and stuff like that, that's a neat idea. Corpus said the watch parties are definitely a cool new feature. That did look kind of neat. I've never actually joined in on one, but maybe I should so I know what they are before I go hosting one. But I think we should have those. And then David said in the 70s, Pittsburgh station WQED 13 always played silent movies, especially Lon Chaney's. I did not know that. That's pretty cool. I always appreciated those old movies. I didn't know that. That's pretty neat. Corpus said a few years back, I was admin on a horror page before they had that capability. Yeah, that was well, this is pretty new, right? I mean, the watch party thing, because I mean, it might not be new, but I know I just saw it like a couple months ago. It's the first time I saw it. I'm like, what is this thing? I don't even know what the, but it sounded neat. Tom says Nosferatu not only exceeded your expectations, it also exceeded its own runtime by quite a margin. LOL. Yeah, I was a little nervous about that. You mentioned that because I was like, you know, can I even, will this even play that long? You know, I didn't even know. That's why I was using Nosferatu as kind of my guinea pig, because I didn't know what all this stuff could do. I really didn't. I had no idea. You know, and the idea of doing this is one thing, but to actually make it happen is quite another. So, I wouldn't have done that with a sponsored episode, you know, because I didn't know if I could do it. But yeah, that was something. But I'm glad I got that under my belt, because now I know that this is something that we can do, you know, at least every month. Now, when I'm getting into October, there's a good chance I'll be doing a haunted house this year. So I'm going to work around that. And maybe I'll do it from the haunted house. I don't know, but we'll make it work somehow. We'll figure it out. I got some time. Corpus said we would all try to sync up our own copies to play them at the same time. I'm sorry, I'm reading that wrong. We would all try to sync up our own copies to play at the same time. Oh. I don't know how that works. And then Corpus said, and just comment on the page as it played. Do you mean multiple pages can play the same watch party? Is that what you mean? I'm unfamiliar with how that all works. I just got to get in and play around with it, I think. And then Tom says, sounds like something akin to herding cats. Brad says, the only watch party that I know is Chiller Night Pre-Show. Corpus said, the syncing was difficult, to say the least. Oh, I bet so. You mean that was before the Facebook feature of the watch party, I take it. Then Bob says, if it was a watch party, would it have to be public domain? Yeah, because Facebook will still, they'll still give you like a strike or whatever, or not a strike. It's not YouTube, but it is something to where they'll notify you if you have any copyrighted content on there. And I don't know what the consequences of that is. I don't know if they'll give you a timeout on Facebook or something if you have too many violations. I have no idea. I've never even, you know, I don't know. So, but that's a good question, because I've often wondered that, like, how, you know, can you get around that? I don't know. What do they do? Will they shut you off? I don't know. And then David said, is it a requirement to wear a watch at a watch party? Oh, well, it seems like it would be. You know, it does make sense. And then Nick said, let's find an old abandoned theater or asylum, throw a party, watch horror flicks. Wouldn't that be cool? Then I really could call that Chiller Night Theater. You know, I've actually thought about that. Maybe I could get one down around Pittsburgh or something. Corpus said, for the official watch parties, they do now. Okay, for public domain, I take it. For what I was doing, we were watching on our TVs. Oh, okay. Well, that'd be neat. And then Corpus said, no, before watch parties, we would literally start up our own DVDs at the same time. Oh, my gosh, on our TVs. Oh, that would be tricky. All right. And then Brad says, I think that these movies have to be public domain. Yes. You have to watch out for those copyright infringements. Yeah. Yes, that is true. I know, that's why I I have to, or something can be public domain and it can get taken off a public domain list too. That's happened within the last 10 years with me. There were certain movies and they're still on the public domain list, but they're not public domain anymore. They were bought out by Warner. So I don't know. You just got to check, But those are like the Fiend Without a Face, for example. I'm pretty sure with what I've looked up in the most recent list that is public domain. However, because I'm not 100% sure, like confident of that, I probably wouldn't do it for a Friday Night Frights if I had a sponsor for the show, because what I wouldn't want them to do is take that off, take it down, if somebody paid to present that movie. But that's not to say I wouldn't do it for a regular TV one if it was obscure enough, not a real blatant. I'm not gonna do a Friday the 13th, or something like that. But if it was a real blatant, not very obvious, and if it was iffy, like on the fence, whether it might be, might not be, I wouldn't have quite as much problem with it. But if it's a sponsored episode, then I would hate to take that chance. And then Charles says, "Hello there, Brian. Love your show and your channel." Well, thank you, Charles. Thanks for joining us. And this right here, this is the pre-show, and we just talk about the movies coming up for tonight, the TV scheduling, and any other thing that relates to horror, science fiction, the paranormal, and whatever strikes our fancy within the time frame of 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I appreciate you joining us, and hope you I see you're on YouTube. Hope you subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell to be notified when we do live shows, because every Friday night, at least for now, the first Friday of the month, I started this. So the Friday Night Frights, Jack Shadow's Friday Night Frights, it's an actual live presentation of Chiller Night Theater. So you can be notified whenever those come on. And Tom says the problem with silent movies is the soundtracks are usually not right. Yeah, he's right. The movie can be public domain, but that doesn't mean the soundtracks are always public domain. So those are other issues to look at. And good soundtracks are kind of key, right? And Brad says, and sometimes they can be very tricky if it's reinstated by copyright laws. And then Brad says, ugh, yeah. Another thing is like for example, a colorized version of a classic, like Night of the Living Dead, the colorized version. Like, is that public domain? I don't know. I wouldn't think so. Because I don't know the answer to that, quite honestly. Because there's even dispute as to whether Night of the Living Dead is public domain. 99% of everybody's going to say yes, it is. Yes, it is. Facebook has no problem with it, or YouTube. And but then I don't believe that the movie really is officially. I don't know the answer to that. I've heard two different stories. So as simple as that sounds, I should know that. I believe it. I don't know, and that's the honest answer. I just don't know for sure. I've got everything backing me up saying it is public domain. I've heard a few exceptions to that, but everything I'm telling me is saying that it's public domain. So I'm gonna go with that until I'm notified otherwise, because it is played on all these channels as public domain. So, and then Brad says if it's in original form. It's sometimes if it's in original form. Okay, I don't know. But like the colorized one, for example, I don't know. I would be very leery about playing something like that, because I look at that as kind of like like Tom had mentioned, you can have the original movie, but if you have a soundtrack to it, that music might be copyrighted. Is that the same thing for like a colorized version of a classic that's, even though it's in the public domain? Couldn't tell you. Right off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you. I'd really have to look into that. So, and then Brad said Night of the Living Dead. We'll see. I have a version of Night of the Living Dead on right now that we played on Halloween. I've received no notifications. Like I said, for years and years and years, that movie is on the public domain list, even right now. So that is being requested by a sponsor that I play that one. So Ava said 10 minutes to go. All right, thank you, Ava. I'm going to throw the schedule up here real quick again here, pretty much within the next minute. Tom says also, even when a movie becomes public domain, the originating work, like the book, may still be covered by copyright and occasionally can limit broadcast. It can get complicated. It can. That's why I would love to be like on a TV station broadcasting, so that the TV station is the one sporting the license. You know, like Chiller Theater. Bill told me all about like the WPXI had the licensing. They had a license, they bought the package, and they could play those movies like up to 3 times a year each one if they wanted to do it that way. Well, WPXI had the license. The only problem with that is, obviously, unless they're playing a public domain movie, whatever they're playing on Chiller Theater, they couldn't. At the time, obviously, that wasn't an issue. We didn't have the internet back then, but now, you see what I mean? That could be a problem. But it would be really nice if all that just laid on the legal team at a TV station on what's covered with their licensing and what they're allowed to play. I wouldn't be able to play that on YouTube, but I don't know. I don't know how that would work. And Corpus said, I just love that radio stream I'm subjected to right before Chiller Night comes on. That radio stream. What's that? The music and that little, that's actually off of YouTube is where I got that that music, so I know that music's okay. And then Tom said most is I don't know if that's what you're talking about. And then Tom says most music soundtracks to silent movies are modern. Yeah, that's why I was looking for older ones. I forget which one I got ended up with Nosferatu. And then Tom said even the original score to Nosferatu is played by a modern orchestra and their performance is covered by copyright. And David says this is the fastest hour in the cosmos. Oh yeah, yeah. At least the fastest hour of the week for me. I can say that. And then Corpus said, that's interesting. Nick said, need to get Chiller Channel. You know, it'd be neat if I got a, well, of course, my stuff's on Roku through Restream, but it'd be neat to have a Chiller Night Roku channel also. It'd be really cool. And then Brad said, those copyright infringers are coming to get you, LOL. Yes. I know, the copyright police. Well, with good reason. I actually don't blame them. I wouldn't want somebody just... I don't mind them sharing my stuff, but I wouldn't want them taking my content. Now, the movies are, up for grab. Yeah, but I mean, like Jack Shadow, like the stuff I have just to use without my consent, it bother me. So, Tom says, oh, tell us about your theme music. Where did that come from? That for Chiller Night Theater was actually, my cousin made that up for me. He plays instruments, and I said, hey, this is years ago. This is back when I think we were still Sleepy Hollow Theater. But I had asked him I said, can you make up a a neat little, 40-second or whatever it was, theme music for me, and he came up with that. His name's Sean, but he said, I want on the credits as Vulture Prom Night. So if you see the credits at the end, music performed by Vulture Prom Night. Well, it's just one guy. I mean, he's putting all the music together. You know, he does. Well, I haven't talked to him for a few years, but I mean, I know at the time. I mean, he's been in the music since he's a little kid, and he did a really neat job with that. And then Corpus said, there's a radio station, okay, that plays on the streaming site you guys are on. There's a radio station that plays on the streaming site you guys are on. Really? Oh, I didn't know that. The streaming site. On, what do you mean on the streaming site you guys are on? On Restream? Corpus said, I think it's constant stream. I mute it. I didn't know that. Oh, you mean I didn't know that. I didn't know anything about that. Brad said 5 minutes until Chiller Night Theater. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sitting here. Okay, let me throw this back up. The schedule. All right, 9 p.m. Excuse me. Okay, if I can talk. 9 p.m. in just like 4 minutes. Chiller Night Theater. Jack Shadow features The Crawling Eye. All right. A good episode. 11 p.m. Chiller Chat is with Kiss of Death Productions. That's with our very own David and Diana Silvio. And that was a fun episode to do. And then 11:30, Chiller Night Theater. The movie is The Ghoul. And then at 1:30, Chiller Chat. The guest is B&H Paranormal Investigators. So and then at 2 a.m. Chiller Night Feature, The Crawling Eye. So, all right, and then Tom Paisley stream. Oh, okay. Geez, I'm thinking. Okay, streammedia.tv has a video feed and a radio feed. Okay. I thought you were talking about this stream. I didn't realize you meant that stream from. I'm pointing in the direction for some reason of the TV station. Okay. Okay. Totally on the same page. All right. Cassandra says, "Wee," and then Corpus is giving multiple claps. Not just one, but three. So, David said, "Good night and cheers." Yes. Good night. Cheers. To all of you, thank you once again for joining me. Join me next week. We'll be doing it again. Same chiller time, same chiller channel. So I got a thumbs up here from Muhammad. So get your snacks, get your pizza, your beer, your blanket, and enjoy the show tonight on Chiller Night Theater and Chiller Chat. And Corpus said, see you guys on the other side. Cassandra said good night. Nick says good night and good fright. All right, folks. Have a good night. Have a good chiller night. We'll see you next week.